there are other criteria involved that factors into their financing plan, that factors into their terms and conditions. So it essentially is not separate. They will want to know all of this information. So what I'm trying to say is that the terms and conditions that are in the payment plans I don't think, can be separated from the financing plans on a per case basis. So if that is the case, that you cannot abstract it and keep it as a template that can be now multiple times used in other financing plans. So if the payment plans cannot be turned into templates, then why keep them separate? If it's going to be part of a financing plan, um, and these settings will potentially need to be changed, meaning that on a per case basis, some of them may be defaulted, but we have to give the end user the opportunity to make a change on a per case basis. Then having both the payment plan and the financing plan, um, those criteria together in one plan, whatever you want to call it, we have to, or terms and conditions template, and then applied to, so you can create, so for example, you can create typically the way a financing plan would be created for implants would involve a certain amount of discount, would involve a certain interest rate based on the period of the default period of the term, and that would be attached to a treatment plan. Now, that implant patient might say that when they receive the proposal that they want to change the number of months, they want to change some of the other criteria, and that will end up coming to a final conclusion for that particular patient. So what I'm saying is that we give the default starting point, and give the end user the ability to create 2, 3, 4, half a dozen of these plans, rather than have half a dozen different payment plans and a half a dozen different financing plans, and various numbers of permutations of combinations of them, which the end user has to go through the trouble of deciding which one needs to be combined with which one. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so now let me rephrase so that if I have understood your concern correctly. Uh, you are seeing this situation as that if the payment plan and financing plan are separate, uh, we will not be able to do a templatization, whereas your intention is that there should be uh, n number of templates available that include financing and payment plan, which allow the end user, in our case, our subscriber, to set up as many variations as he wants and then make his clients comply with those variations.
Yes, and the default templates may have one or two terms that end up being modified to suit the needs of that particular patient. So the purpose of creating these templates, so there could be an implant template, a orthodontics template, a cosmetic template, so they may decide to make it simple for themselves that different types of treatment will have different types of financing needs and terms, and the length of treatment will be different, so the interest rates may be different. So all of those things give them the flexibility of saying, okay, for all of my restorative cases, I want to have a payment plan or a financing plan set with terms and conditions as such, right? And then for all of my surgical cases, I want to have these terms. You see? So now, when their treatment care coordinator or office manager is proposing or creating a treatment proposal, they automatically know, okay, this is a surgical proposal or this is an orthodontic proposal. So we're going to select the default orthodontic template, and it'll be for 24 months. It'll be for 5.9% interest. It'll be for, so forth. They have all of those terms already in there. And then the treatment care coordinator can say, okay, but for this patient, Akram Khan, I think, based on our discussions, instead of 24 months, he's going to want 36 months. Um, so then they can make some additional changes like that, or I may receive the treatment proposal, and as the functionality already present in the uh, patient app, when I receive the proposal, I can use the sliders to change the down payment. That'll affect everything else in uh, the terms and conditions. So when I finally decide which one if I change the down payment from 1,000 in the default template to I want to put more, so my monthly payment goes down. I put 3,000. Then the final contract that I'm signing is going to have 3,000 in it, and that'll potentially change the total amount, because 3,000 might get me a discount because I may have discount eligibility. You see what I'm saying? So
So,
um, I think the ability to give the subscriber a way to create n number of templates that can then be finalized in the flow of presenting a proposed treatment plan and closing it and getting it signed and accepted, um, is the way to go. Because this way, if you have six payment plans, six financing plans. The challenge that the people that have seen this have had is, how do I train my staff, which may not be consistent? I may have temporary workers come in. How do I train them to choose and match the correct payment plan to the correct financing plan as you have it designed right now?
so
And what
I
do I
can
do to prevent any mistakes? And I
uh,
don't have an answer for that.
So give me 2 minutes. First of all, I want to remove this idea that currently whatever you have asked for can't be done. It's already possible. That is how it is intended. Let me, however, give you briefly the rationale for separating uh, a financing plan from payment plan, so that you can create a template called orthodontics template, which would use a particular financing plan.
Okay.
And that financing plan may be common across multiple kind of treatments, because give me a chance to explain this.
Sure,
uh,
sure, sure. Go
for a
ahead.
finance guy, his ultimate concerns are few. What is the credit score of this person? Based on the credit score, what is the upfront down payment that he believes in percentage that he should take,
Right.
so that his ability to, his willingness to repay back the amount basically puts his skin in the game. Uh, Second thing that he wants to know is what is the duration for this payment, and based on the risk perception, etc., they have a criteria to decide a base interest rate. The base interest rate is usually derived from a risk-free rate that is a kind of an industry standard, and then based on the riskiness matrix, they put up some sort of a mumbo jumbo numbers on it to arrive at whatever is their base rate. And based on whatever is the base rate and duration and the IRR expected, there is a payment schedule generated. All
Right.
right. So now let's call this as header. Now, as long as you give me this kind of return, I'm a financing guy and I don't understand orthodontics. I don't understand other kind of treatment plans than that you have in your system. The only question that I'm asking you is, does it stick to my financing plan A? Because in that plan, for a particular socio or demographic profile and background credit score, I am looking for a 8% return on financing that I have done with average ticket size not exceeding $15,000 and an upfront payment of $3,500 and an IRR of 9 to 10%. Uh, Now, that being my approximation, I am willing to only give you as a financing entity this information. However, so you as a DSO said, okay, I have got three proposals from three financing agencies. One guy has given me 8.5 IRR expected. One guy has given 7.5 IRR expected on the same kind of a credit rating. Now, I have created three headers. Understand this piece that I have got H1, H2, H3 because I have got three people giving me financing. Now, when I'm building a payment plan or when I'm building a proposal based on the financing plan chosen, the payment plan automatically gets structured in the sense of what is the total duration of period that is available for me based on the financing plan options, and then the only thing that remains is how do I give discount in this, how do I take care of other issues. Now imagine that with a header H1 you have associated orthodontics O1, O2, O3, O4, any number of payment plan including a custom payment plan for OC because this guy has already defaulted and he has requested you for a 10%, 20% reduction so that he can make an upfront payment and clear his dues. So, in such a case, what will happen is there will maybe number of templates generated for orthodontics at the DSO level, where you could be having orthodontics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 n number of variations, including a custom variation for a specific individual. But these are only related to the payment structure. However, your backend financing entity is still considering, whether it got its money in time and in a particular schedule that was expected. So I'm saying that if you keep these headers, then it's not that there is no one-to-one correspondence. You could have with H1 three other payment plans P1, P2, P3 configured with H1 to produce all kind of permutation combination that may eventually come in. So uh, I
Yeah.
suggest, I do get the concern of the end users. That's why, I've called in Simran also. And I think what I will do is I will have a relook at how it appears. And then let me give you an answer by today, day and only. That is it possible? I'll give you a one line binary answer. That is it possible to maintain the underlying separate structure for payment and financing plans while making it kind of integrated and easy to select and use at the DSO end user level? Is it possible to do that by doing some sort of a interaction redesign? If that is possible, I will say binarily yes, it is possible, and this is what I would give you. I will offer you a design. If I also believe that this interaction design is not possible to simplify below this, and if we still have users getting confused, then we will have to basically go back to what they are asking for straight away.
That's fine. I want to clarify something. In terms of financing, you will not have a scenario where there are multiple offers from financing entities. Typically, the way the healthcare system works here is a hospital or a dental clinic or any healthcare provider will have a patient financing relationship with one company, like either Care Credit or some other Care Credit competitor. And that's typically an exclusive relationship. There's no scenario where they go out in a bidding scenario where you might have two or three or four different offers for financing for a $15,000 case. So if Dr. Smith is providing, third-party financing options, then that financing will come from one company, and that company will have its own credit criteria based on credit score and their own interest rates and all of that. They'll provide that, So the other option is, and the reason why we have financing in EasyFi is in-house financing. This is where the doctor is saying, okay, um, patient Ekram Khan has been a loyal patient in this practice for 6 years. He has paid all of his bills, irrespective of his credit scenario. I'm the doctor, and I'm making a decision that this $15,000 treatment, as long as Ekram Khan is providing $3,000 down payment, I will finance the other 12,000 balance over 24 months at this interest, and the doctor is collecting the interest. You see, so the build out of the financing functionality in our platform was for internal financing. However, we need to make an accommodation for potential third-party financing. So this is how the financing situation works in the environment that our subscribers are working in. So you have a patient, you have a decision by the doctor of either taking the risk of the loan themselves and financing it internally as an in-house financing option, or the doctor may say, you know what, I financed two other patients this month for 10,000 each. That's $20,000 risk I took this month. I don't want to take any more risk, so we are going to refer this next, our third patient this month, that has a $15,000 case. We're going to refer them to Care Credit because Care Credit is our exclusive financing partner. Okay. So that's so it's essentially a binary decision by the doctor. It's either he's going to take the risk, or the clinic is going to take the risk. If there are multiple doctors, it's, obviously it's the business, so the clinic will take the risk, or they will refer it out to their financing partner. There's never a scenario where the doctor or our platform is going to bid this out. I mean, there may be a future, separate business, financing business in its entirety that may do bidding for our database of patients. That's something we can discuss down the road, but that's not part of the purpose of EasyFi. The purpose of EasyFi here is to give the doctor a binary choice of doing in-house financing, which is more beneficial for the doctor, or doing financing through a partner, which is more expensive because the doctor has to pay a fee to that bank, and the patient will also pay much higher interest rates to that bank. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, now down the road in the future, can we build out an interface for a separate business that, puts out the data that's aggregated in our system and say, hey, we've got from, 2,000 subscribers, we have, 1 million patients as a database. And can we, have a dashboard into that database showing how many proposals there are, what the average proposal cost is, and have banks bid on the financing? Maybe. I think that's surely a potential opportunity down the road. But right now, I don't think that's what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is give the doctor the option of saying, I will finance this patient myself, or it will be put out to one of our partners. And that partner will have his own interest rate and terms and conditions, and therefore, the use case in for EasyFi subscriber would be that. Hello, you there? Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the use case for an EasyFi subscriber may be that we have a plan with various terms and conditions and payment modes, amount source, payment source, interest rate, discount eligibility, and the title of it is implant, financing plan, or something like that. And another one's for orthodontics, another one's for cosmetic. And each one of them has different interest rates and different terms because the treatment length is going to be different for various types of categories of treatment. So if I, as a doctor, set up, 4, 5, 6 of these templates, and I train my staff that whenever you're creating a treatment proposal for implants, this is the default plan you attach to it. And then, if that patient is then going to finance it from a third party, then all of the interest rates and those terms are going to change anyway. So it has to be the first choice is in-house or third party. In the event they make the choice that it's a third party financing, then all of the terms and conditions is TBD, based on the application that they will put in for that bank. They will get the patient's personal information, credit history, all of that, and process it. And once the processing is done and the terms are provided, then those terms can be entered into the financing plan and then managed through EasyFi. The collection of the monthly payments, and that can be set up through ACH. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, so the first choice in the user flow from the subscriber staff perspective is the first decision is this in-house or is this third party? If it's in-house, then they will get to choose from one of their default uh, templates that they've set up and attach it. Or if we preserve the way you're doing it, then they're dropped into that flow. If you can find an easier way to help them make the decision of connecting the payment plan to the financing plan, then that's the flow that first part of it will result in. If they say in-house, then they get dropped into the process that I'm suggesting or the process you're suggesting with a revised user experience. And if the other choice is that is not in-house, but it's third party, then there should be a default third party template that's all blank. All these terms are blank until pending the application approval by the bank. Once that approval comes back, then all of these terms get filled in with the terms provided by the bank. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
So, I've got a question here. Can
Yeah.
you describe the kind of responses that people have given when they saw the choice between, financing plan and payment plan? What were their expressions?
Their basic expression, the basic question was, how do I know which one to connect to which plan? So how do I match the payment plan to the financing plan? Because typically the way we look at our financing is based on what type of treatment it is. If it's shorter in term and the amount is smaller, then our interest rates are typically low or zero because the risk is very low. And if we take a higher down payment, then it's interest free usually. That's the way we do it. Whereas if it's a longer, if it's, a longer treatment process, the interest rates are higher, it's a longer treatment time, bigger risk. So they could not understand based on how they think about financing a particular type of treatment, they're not thinking about financing a dollar amount. They're thinking about financing a particular type of treatment. Then they go and look at the 4 different variables in payment plans, as opposed to the in financing plans, you have many more variables. You have 8 variables in financing plan. So they look at it and say, for the 4 variables that you have separated here in the financing in the payment plan that says payment source, amount source, payment mode, and discount eligibility, they're like, why can't you just have a variety of financing plans and just attach these as 4 different additional fields to the financing plans? And I looked at it and I said, well, typically what happens is uh, the the choices for the discounts and eligibility and all of that is based on down payments. The choices for payment mode, whether it's auto debit or on approval, would apply to pretty much any type of variation in financing plan. So I sort of do see their point that you've got very few variables here. Why not just have these be part of the financing plan set of variables? And then if you needed some combination thereof, so in orthodontics, if you wanted to have a financing plan that said ortho plan, financing plan number one, which is split plan, split payments between divorced parents, and ortho financing plan number two, which is not a split plan but a single source of the payment, then so be it. That's easier to choose from between one to two, between the plan one and plan two, because which variable has changed between the two. You see, there's no there's no consequence in because this patient is being financed by two parents as opposed to one household. Um, there's no other terms and conditions that are changed except that. So based on that, we can easily create two different financing plans for orthodontics, one being paid by, one parent and the other being paid by split parents. You see what I'm saying? All of the
Yeah.
other details are the same.
So,
It's
if
the end user's choice of knowing when to combine one with the other, and that was confusing them. So I didn't really, I listened. I didn't really say whether I agreed or not, but every single one of them said that how do I train my team to consistently choose the right combination?
correct.
That was their question, you know.
In fact, that's what I'm hearing from you, that basically we don't challenge the end user. If he finds something difficult to understand, there is no point in explaining to him why it makes sense. Let's redesign where it meets his criteria of understanding first.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, no,
so
I understand your logic behind it, and I agree with it in terms of giving the maximum flexibility, and especially if you wanted to have multiple, financing options and things like that. It all makes sense, but the challenge we're dealing with is an end user who may not be as savvy in understanding the logic or willing to even spend time to understand it, and typically that's the case. They don't want to understand it. They just want to be told what to do. You see what I'm saying? Especially the
yeah,
staff. They
yeah,
just say, "Oh, where do I click? What do I do? What do I fill out? Which fields do I enter?" That's it. Just tell me what to do. You know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they don't want to think, and that's the managers and the doctors that I showed this to, and I showed it to both clinical, meaning the doctors as well as the business side of the practice. They said, "Yeah, we get it, but how do I train them to do this consistently and not make any mistakes, and then have to go back and review and revise and fix?" And the last thing I want to do is go back to a patient who we proposed $20,000 worth of treatment to and say, "Oh, we made a mistake on the financing proposal," and lose all credibility.
yeah,
That
yeah,
we
yeah.
have to revise that, and then we'll lose that contract. So this was what their feedback, and it's not just one clinic that said this. There's multiple clinics that gave me the same, asked me the same question and gave me the same scenario. So that's why I thought I should raise this with you, because this is a consistent response.
So I think what I would do is I'll spend time on it and I will redesign and I'll show you how the redesigned option looks. And if it is possible to, if you have a friendly clinic and if you could show them the redesigned screen, and I'll also try to give you an animation along with them with annotations on, how do you make that choice. And if you can record their response to that, you know
Sure, sure, I can do
and
that.
Yeah, so if you hear an aha from it, and if that looks like easy for him, then we would have won. And in that case, we would have done an interaction design based on the feedback from the end user.
Yes, yeah, that's fine. So go ahead and do that, and I will schedule a time with the clinic to review it, and I will give you the feedback. But we just have to make it so that the end user doesn't find a challenge in making that connection between the two. You know?
Understandable. Understandable.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right then. That
Okay.
should clear this up.
Yes, yes, yes. Pretty
All right.
quickly.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Kaushal.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.